Good morning. On behalf of our university leadership, please let me be among one of the first at FAU to offer you a congratulations on your admission to Florida Atlantic University. We have been looking forward to this event all week. And each morning when I've been getting my clothes out of my closet, I've looked at this FAU red shirt that I'm wearing and said to myself, not until Saturday. I'm instructing a class today in person, which is very exciting, but don't worry, we're on a break and I do have my mask. It's blue. And I'm going to teach you all the easiest FAU cheer. Red, blue, FAU. The past several weeks at FAU have brought exciting news as we are planning our first in-person commencement in over a year, and the knowledge that if things keep moving according to plan, pending CDC guidance, we will finally be able to welcome in person all of our first-year FAU students and those rising sophomores who haven't yet been to campus. Today is about choosing FAU, and your attendance here lets us know that you already chose FAU or that you are considering choosing FAU. Either way, we are excited about the possibility of you joining us in summer or fall. I serve FAU as the Interim Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. Our role, our why, as we like to say at FAU, is to engage you from the point of high school through the collegiate experience and culminating in graduation and a plan post-graduation, whether that be graduate school or a job. When you return for new student orientation, you will hear me say this again. So here you are, most of you high school seniors getting ready to make one of the most important decisions of your life. I say this not to overwhelm you or to make you anxious, but rather to let you know that it is important to listen and learn today so that you know whether or not FAU is for you. And while we sincerely hope that you will choose us, this is a partnership. We know that we want you, but we want you to know that you want us. Embarking on the collegiate experience is an exciting and an anxious time for our prospective students and for their family and friends who may be supporting them through this journey. Given the uncertainty of the past year, many of your questions today may be about what to expect on campus this summer and fall. While we cannot know for certain what the CDC guidelines will recommend, we are very hopeful that with the increases in vaccine distribution, the continuation of wearing our masks, and social distancing, that we will be ramping up our in-person engagement on campus for summer and fall. We know that new student orientation for those that starting in summer 3 will be completely virtual. We know that instruction for those starting in summer 3 will be what we call high flex, which means that some courses will be completely self-directed and others will be live lecture, like the one I'm doing today. Each of these allows for a similar situation for what you may be coming out of in high school. And we hope that fall will look very similar to fall 19 and the beginning of 2020. All of us in the state university system, and probably throughout the entire state and the country, share in that hope. This fall, we are very much planning for a more traditional semester. While FAU has always offered online courses, the vast majority of our courses should be in person. We expect that faculty and staff will fully return to our campuses so that we can ensure all FAU students have an engaging collegiate experience. We are actively planning for our residence hall move-in, first-year convocation, our OwlDone student organization fair, weeks of welcome programming, our annual bonfire, and FAU athletics. There is so much excitement surrounding the recent addition of our esports arena, and we have added a number of outdoor seating areas around our campus. You're going to hear a lot of information today. It can be challenging in a virtual setting to remain focused, but as I mentioned earlier, this is a very important decision. So do your best to limit the number of background distractions, take out a pen or pencil and a paper to write down your thoughts, and more importantly, your questions. Write down the names and offices of the people that you are hearing from, knowing that each person you hear from today views your success as their success, and collectively, our shared success. Start to work through the plan of what you want to do once you arrive here. And most importantly, try to end the day with all of your questions answered so that you are ready to make the decision to choose FAU. Finally, even though we are virtual today, we anxiously await the opportunity to see you and meet you in person. I wish you a wonderful visit with us today. And now I have the pleasure of introducing my colleague, Summer Hill, who serves as one of our admissions counselors at Florida Atlantic. Go Owls!
Red, blue, FAU. I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Fairman, for the introduction and those wonderful remarks. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Choose FAU and the OwlDone panel. My name is Summer Hill, and I serve Florida Atlantic University as one of our admissions counselors in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions right here at the Boca Raton campus. Today, however, I will be your moderator, and I look forward to introducing our panelists momentarily. But first things first, I would like to start by saying congratulations to all of my admitted owls this morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on this virtual platform today. We are so excited and thankful that you are here with us. We have some valuable information to share with you today, but we're also eager to hear all of your questions. So let's get started. So what is OwlDone? As an admitted student, you now have access to a portal called OwlDone. You'll continue to learn about it throughout this session, and most of the topics that are covered today start right here. So as Dr. Fairman mentioned, you want to make sure you grab a pen and paper and take note of that website, OWL, for our FAU mascot, done.fau.edu. We are here to help you throughout this process and guide you through all of the enrollment processes, so we definitely look forward to our interactions. So the panel today is an opportunity for you to engage with key areas of the university that ensure a seamless transition as you navigate your onboarding process. You'll be interacting with some of my colleagues from Housing and Residential Education, University Advising, the Career Center, and New Student Transition and Family Engagement. So if you're curious about the itinerary, I promise you are in the right place, and I will make sure I guide you to your next location following the panel, which should take us closer to about noon. Then you'll have an opportunity to engage with schools and colleges right after the panel and ask some questions. I encourage questions via the chat right here, which will become available momentarily, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. If after we introduce the panelists, you do not see the chat, all you need to do is just refresh your page and it should be right there for you. If for whatever reason you have a question that is not covered throughout this panel, please know that we are here to help. We really want to make sure that by the end of this program, your questions are all answered and that you were able to take care of business. So I definitely encourage you to stay throughout the entirety of the program. At this point, I am thrilled to introduce our panelists. So as you come in, panelists, if you would tell us who you are, your role at FAU, and anything else that you'd like to share with us. Let's start with Mr. Joe Murray from University Advising Services. Joe?
Hello, welcome. So my name is Joe Murray, and I'm the Assistant Dean for University Advising Services here at Florida Atlantic University. Probably most important for you all is that means that the folks that you will be interacting with, your academic advisors for your first 2 years, including your onboarding experience here over the next couple of weeks, are part of my staff. We've got 35 advisors. They are some of the best in certainly the nation. We have some very prestigious awards that we've acquired to prove that, but more importantly, we're here to serve you, to make sure that we're answering the questions that you have as you go through this process. I also will tell you that I wear a different hat as well. Both my kids actually just recently graduated from FAU, and I have one that is now teaching in the public school systems here in South Florida, and my son actually is finishing up his first year in law school. So great preparation coming your way. Take advantage of all the great opportunities. And with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Catherine Coleman.
Good morning, all future owls. My name is Catherine Kelman. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the Director for Housing and Residential Education here at Florida Atlantic University. On behalf of all of my student staff and professional staff, we are so excited to see all of you in the summer or fall. A little bit about housing is that we are committed to seeing you explore yourself, engage in the FAU pride, and engage and challenge yourself related to inclusion and diversity, and strengthen your academics. Housing is here for you to create a home and build all the great resources to be a great academic student. We welcome you to FAU, and now to my colleague, Melanie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melanie Adams. I'm the Associate Director for the FAU Career Center. My office is the office that will help everyone get jobs and internships, and you may see our office on your OwlDone portal as the group that helps with your major knowledge, which we'll talk about in just a little while. We're so excited to welcome you to campus, and I'm going to pass it over to my friend and colleague, Dr. Katie Burke.
Hello, welcome admitted students and families. So excited to have you here at one of my favorite events of the year, Choose FAU. My name is Dr. Katie Burke. I serve FAU as Executive Director, New Student Transitions and Family Engagement. And most important for you today and throughout your onboarding experience is likely the fact that new student orientation is housed within our team. So I will be discussing a lot of those opportunities today for you to transition into FAU through your formal orientation program and more. Some fun facts about me: I have 4 degrees from FAU. Yes, that's right. I love to learn and I love this community here. As a first-generation student, I began here, not totally clear on what I wanted to do. And this environment, this space helped me become the woman I am today. So I am thrilled to share some more about that with you. And I'm going to turn it right back over to Summer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burke. So I'm super excited. Let's get started, guys. Dr. Burke, I'm going to start with you. You mentioned SOAR. So can you please expand on that? What exactly is SOAR and who goes to it?
Yes, great question, Summer. So SOAR is Student Orientation, Academics, and Resources. This is your new student orientation program. So our students and families get the opportunity to have 3 phases for their orientation experience at FAU. That is your SOAR experience. So the first phase of SOAR is our Canvas self-directed orientation. Canvas is our learning management system for FAU. It's where your courses will be stored, where you'll engage with your classes. So we want to get you right in there to experience what Canvas is and complete some modules that are really set up for you to learn all you can about FAU for you to come into FAU strong. We also have a Canvas for our families who opt into creating, a space with their student as they transition into FAU. The second phase is going to be an orientation day. Now, for our summer starting students and families and our fall starting students and families, the orientation day options look a little different. For our summer starting students, you will have the opportunity to do your orientation day just like this, through a live virtual experience where we have orientation leaders and other partners from across the institution that are all going to connect with you through that day and really help you become all you can be at FAU by plugging you right into involvement, to your college, and more. The fall starting students have the chance to do that live virtual experience, or they can come join us on campus for a 2-day orientation experience where you have the option to stay overnight with us in my friend Kat's lovely residence halls. Or you can just, commute for that 2-day experience. And it is full of all sorts of fun, exciting ways to learn about what it means to be an owl. The third and final phase is How to FAU. This is just-in-time information for our students the weekend right before classes start. So you also have the chance, families, to join in on that with our Family Success Conference that happens the same exact times as How to FAU. So you have a lot of information in your OwlDone portal about the dates, times, locations, and more for those experiences. And I'll be sure to fill in some of the blanks for you as we continue the conversation today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Burke, for that information. And what a wonderful opportunity for students and guests to be able to meet each other and interact with the FAU community, and at the same time, take care of business. So my future owls, make sure you are logging into your OwlDone portals and signing up for your SOAR, otherwise known as your orientation date. Everyone, please do not forget to refresh your page if you're not seeing the chat right now. Again, we really want to make sure that we are getting all of your questions and answering all of your questions today. So I'm going to make a little shift here for a second and head over to you, Catherine. Let's talk a little bit about the housing side of things. I'm sure our future owls are eager about that. Are all first-time in college students required to live on campus?
So while we welcome all of our first-time in college students to apply for housing, the priority for students are for students who actually live outside of the 30 miles, so greater than 30 miles from campus, to apply for housing. So they have to apply for housing. Students who are within 30 miles are technically exempt. If they do choose to apply for housing, they won't have a priority date, and they'll have to wait until we've completely housed all of our outside of 30. But we welcome all students. We're super excited. We have 4 residence halls that are really tailored to our first year students. And so we're excited to have them engage with our RAs and our lounges. And like Dr. Feldman said earlier, we are ready and willing to start our traditional housing program full of events in person. And we had our very first one last week with our beautiful carnival.
Perfect. I know housing is definitely on the minds of many. So as a reminder, make sure you get those housing contracts in by May 1st at the absolute latest. And again, in your OwlDone portals. All right. So Joe, this time of year, we get a lot of questions about advising and registration. And I know advising is open for our students right now. So can you explain how the advising process works and what's the difference between advising and registration? Like, what advantages does early advising create for our students?
Sure, my pleasure. So this is actually one of the areas that really sets FAU apart from the rest of certainly the schools in Florida and many across the country. Most universities will have their academic advising and course scheduling happen at orientation. So, for example, when you come to campus to do your SOAR, FAU does not do that. And we don't do that because in that type of model, the courses you get then become dependent upon when you can travel or attend orientation. And as you might imagine, the sooner you register for courses, the more choices you have on days and times and faculty. So if you can't come to campus or you can't do the virtual orientation until August, you're not going to get as many choices as a student who's doing it now, for example. And so at FAU, we do not do that. We want students to be advised and register now. In fact, Monday, April 12th, and I think we might be one of the earliest in the state of Florida, we will start registering our new incoming first-year students, you all, to classes. You can have your schedule built and ready to go literally by the end of next week if you move quickly enough to get all your business taken care of. And that's something that really sets us apart. So the question becomes then, Summer, how do you do that? And that module that you mentioned, Easy Advising, connected to, guess what, the OwlDone portal, is one of those processes that we will take you through, and you do not have to come to campus for this first conversation with your academic advisor. It is all going to be online, but it is really important that you take this seriously and you put in the information we're asking for. In particular, and I want to really stress this very, very strongly, we're going to ask you in that document to enter in all of the coursework, exams, test credits, AP, CLEP, ACE, dual enrollment, all of those credits, even if you're not sure you're going to get credit for it yet. So a lot of those exams haven't taken place yet, obviously, but we want to know about that now, and we're going to assume you're going to pass it all. We've got great students coming in. We know you're going to pass them all, and we're going to advise according to that. And if something happens and that doesn't occur, then we'll backtrack and we'll make changes after the fact. But we want to make sure what we do not do is put you in a course that you already have credit for that we didn't know about it. So it's absolutely critical that when you're all going through that process, that you make sure you put the complete list of every course and exam credit that you think you might have credit for. That's the advising piece of this. And in fact, you will be signed an academic advisor as that process goes through. So right now, the number one thing you got to do is get your deposit in. that will open up all of these portals that we're talking about. So deposit is the magic key that turns the lock to get everything open. Once that occurs and you do easy advising, you'll have a personal advisor assigned to you. You'll have their email, you'll have their phone number, you'll have a picture so you know who you're working with, and that will be your link as you go through this onboarding process. One other note that I'll make at this point as well is if any of you want to change your major, you've had a change of heart since the time that you applied and you put one major on your application, but you want to do something different now, you will do that. You'll make that request in that easy advising form. So do not call admissions. You don't need to bother Summer and her crew for the change of major now. That will be up to the academic advisors, and we'll do that through the easy advising. So that's really in a nutshell both the advising, and then once we're done with the advising, then students will go in to our systems, and you will pick the courses, the days, the times, the faculty members. That's up to you all, and that literally starts on Monday. So the faster you get moving, the more choices you'll have.
Thank you so much, Joe. And really good point, everyone. Please make sure that you are submitting that tuition deposit so that you're able to move forward with advising and orientation and registration for your classes. And remember, advising is open now, okay? So I hope that clears up any confusion for our students who are registering. Now, Melanie, in your introduction, you talked about your role at the university in the Career Center. I see that we have some questions in the chat about internships and things like that. So since our students are going to be new freshmen, can you tell us what the relationship here is between being a new student at FAU and the Career Center? And then also, what is major knowledge? I know students have to do that in their OwlDone portals.
Sure, great questions. And to really understand how the Career Center works with FAU, particularly all of our students, I think it's really important to understand how we approach career development here at FAU. It's really unique to the other school systems in the Florida system. We really don't wait for students to be a junior or a senior to really start talking to them about career. Career really starts from day one here at FAU. We're not going to start talking about internships when you're a senior or your last semester here. We start talking about it before you even take classes. That's why we have students take what's called major knowledge when they're getting started here at FAU, for them to really start thinking about what they're interested in, so we can start connecting that to not only their majors, but some of their career goals, so they can start trying things out as soon as they get here. Because we know at the end of their degree in university, we want them to be successful for life after FAU, and that begins at the very beginning. So a great way to do that is to start thinking now about what are the things that I like to do, what are the things I can do both inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. So part of that is taking their major knowledge interest assessment, which is part of that OwlDone portal that Dr. Burke has talked about and Joe has talked about. And then the other part of that is once they're here at FAU, as you mentioned, some of those chat questions is getting connected to internships and employers. And that's really what my team and all of us in the Career Center that we love to do. We love meeting with students to talk about what it is that they want to get involved in and help navigate that with them, because there's a lot that they're going to be connected to. So we work with them to get those experiential learning activities and experiences, including internships. And we believe to do that early on. Again, where it's going to be maybe not their first semester here at FAU, but we want to make sure they're getting connected and getting those experiences. And we help them with that process. We don't just say, okay, great, here's a list of them, good luck. We're actually going to sit down with them, create a career action plan, help them with their resume, help connect them with those employers, whether it's in person, virtually, in Florida, in their home state or their hometown. So we have our career counselors and coaches work with them one-on-one to help them find those opportunities.
That's awesome. So lots of opportunities here at FAU, I'm hearing. And I know I saw a question in the chat. Those internships, are they paid or unpaid, Melanie?
That is a great question. We hear that all the time. So traditionally, we hear people think of internships as unpaid work. You see some of the movies and the things where they're thinking, oh, it's going to be this unpaid experience. But actually, I would say about closer to 80 to 90% of our experiences are paid experiences. And we have a whole internship team that are dedicated to talking to employers and are out in the community working with employers on why internships should be paid experiences, and most of them are. That's definitely a movement and a trend that you're going to see as you're looking for opportunities, that employers are paying the interns because they see the value in what they do. An internship is no longer that idea of, picking up coffee or getting dry cleaning. These are actual experiences with learning outcomes that our students are getting really valuable work experience. And you can also get academic credit for doing internships. So there's a lot of different unique possibilities. And we work with our students to make sure that they're getting the best opportunities they can, being paid, getting academic credit, and whatever's going to be in the best interest for our students.
That's amazing. Thank you, Melanie. So everyone sign up for internship program. All right, switching gears, I'm running over to you, Dr. Burke. Let's talk a little bit about orientation, because I know we've got some questions in the chat. So one, can parents come to orientation? And then two, if you're a Jumpstart student, so you've been admitted to summer jump, are you allowed to attend fall orientation?
So yes to families. We'll start with that one. We have a really intentional approach with our families at FAU where we want to be partners with you. We want to enable you to help your student be as successful as they can be. And we realize that that's a partnership with the family in many cases. And students define family in many different ways. And we want to honor that here at FAU and start them off right with orientation alongside their students. So when students sign up for orientation, which I really want to stress, reservations are open now. Some spots do fill up with date preferences and the like. So go in the OwlDone portal. When you sign up and reserve for your orientation days, you will be able to opt into the family orientation experience as well. If you've already signed up and you want to go back in and add your family member, feel free to do that. You can access it the same exact way through the OwlDone portal and just edit your reservation. So we highly, highly, highly recommend families joining us. We have some of the same content for families, and then we have separate sessions for families with partners from around the institution to really hone in on what the family role is at FAU and how, again, you can support your student. So that's the first part of your question, Summer. The second part is about our Jumpstart students. So students that are admitted to start for Summer 3, the last 6 weeks of the summer semester. So we have specific orientation set up for our summer starting students. We do separate the summer starting students from the fall starting students for a few reasons. One, we want you to have completed your orientation day before classes start, right? So those dates are available for you to go ahead and do that. Make sure you're plugging into the resources that my colleagues here today have talked about. That's all going to take place at orientation day. So yes, we do separate for the term of entry that you've been granted to FAU, meaning that the Jumpstart students all orient online summer 3 in advance of that date.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Brick. I see we are getting some more advising questions in here. So Joe, coming over to you, I see one that says, are we allowed to have a major or a minor? And how would students indicate that to their advisors?
Sure. So let me just actually spend a second sort of defining those. So a major, if you want to think about this through building a skill set. Right. And so when you're building a skill set and then you move over to Melanie's area and career, that's what those employers are looking for. They want to know your skill set. And so actually the title of the major on the piece of paper isn't nearly as important as whether or not you can do the job you're applying for, which means the skill set. Right. So don't get hung up. And this is really important both for parents and for students. Don't get hung up in the myth that major equals career, because that is not the case. In fact, you will be shocked of all the different majors, even for the folks on this very panel that we have, right? And so what you want to think about is not so much the title of the major, but what are the skills you're going to acquire within that major? And do those skills get you where you want to go? And if there are skills that you're missing, so that major has a certain set of courses, if you will, and experiences, if you don't get all the skills that you want within that, that's where then students will think about adding a minor or a certificate or using elective credits to build additional skills that aren't necessarily built into that major. So whether you have a minor or not, or even whether you double major or not, isn't nearly as important as thinking about this through what skills do you need and how do we help you achieve those skills to get you where you want to go. And also remind folks that acquiring those skills isn't just through the academic courses. It's through the internships. It's through study abroad. It's through attending lectures and programs on campus. It's all of those things, because when you sit down to interview, you're bringing your entire being of who you are and all of your experiences with you, not just the academics. So in that case, don't get too hung up on, double majoring, on adding in all these other things. Look at this through your skill set. And in fact, usually I ask folks what they think I majored in as an undergrad. So I'm gonna hold that question, but I want you thinking about that, and maybe we can ask that a little bit later on, and we'll see what kind of guesses we get, just to illustrate my point.
Sounds great. Thanks, Joe. Catherine, coming on over to you for housing. And I know a lot of students probably have this question. When and how will I find out about my housing assignment?
So you'll hear this trend as well. All communication about housing assignments or just in general information is going to come through your FAU email. So once you tuition deposit, you'll see that email is just continuously getting some information from different colleagues, departments, schools, and colleges. So we'll send out our housing assignments starting on a rolling basis in June. We are steadily starting to matching up roommates and things of that nature that went out, and that deadline was April 1st for roommate matching, but we still have students who will match based on our lifestyle questions, and we're quite excited for that process. But we'll send out that via email to students, but they're also able to see it on their housing portal. You'll experience your housing portal for the first time on OwlDone. That's how you complete your contract, and you'll be able to do many different things for housing on there throughout your time living with us on campus. But you'll be getting those on a rolling basis, and then in July you'll be able to actually see in your portal your suite mate and roommate assignments. So you'll be able to see whom are in your room if you have a roommate, or in your suite, because we have suites here at FAU, whom is in your suite as well.
Okay, great. So you mentioned the roommate thing. So can you tell us a little bit about the roommate selection process, the deadlines? How does that work? How do I know who my roommate's going to be?
No, great question. And I think many of my colleagues on this room would tend to say, some of people's roommates are their best friends, and some are just great associates and the time that they live with them. Roommates really range, right? So we did have a deadline of April 1st for roommate requests. So if you knew someone, so if I knew Katie and I wanted to be roommates, we would have had to request each other by April 1st. However, we know that things do change, people's plans change. So part of our housing application process is our lifestyle questions. So it asks a series of questions, and then at the end, it gives you a percentage of other individuals who have completed the housing application at that time and how quickly they match up. So they may match up by let's say 60%, maybe me and Katie are 60, and I'm like, ooh, that's not good enough. Maybe I want someone who's 80, and maybe me and Melanie are 80. And so I may communicate with her, and in the portal you can do that. So you can send an email, say, hey, we match up based on the description. Do you want to room with each other? And you may say yes. If you are someone who doesn't really want to do that process, we'll be using the same percentage of answers to match our roommate selection.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Kat, I know that students who are outside of a 30-mile radius have to live on campus for their freshman year. And then those inside of a 30-mile radius have a choice of living on campus. But can you tell us, why should a student live on campus?
So why shouldn't they? I mean, first, you get premium space. So that commute to and from class you can really just roll over and leave. You get premium parking, so that's also great. And FAU, you know, parking is very vital. Making sure you get to Chick-fil-A first. Walking there is easier than finding a space, is what I would say. But you also get to build community. So our resident advisors, who are also your peers, who are upperclassmen, help create community on the floor, get you to resources. So they're connecting with our career center. They're connecting with our advising services. They're connecting even with our class office that does tutoring. And they're making sure that you know how you can be successful here at FAU. But you're also having fun. And it's different than what maybe your friends told you about their university or your mom, your grandma. It's completely different now. And so everything and anything from aromatherapy, how to make that in your room, or how to make apple pie in, you know, a mug in your microwave. We've seen it all be done by our RAs, but we also have seen people do meditation. We've also connected with our student activities and done goat yoga. We do it all here. And so by being on campus, you really get to immerse yourself in the full campus. And then I think about what happens here at night. And so our activities here at night on campus, you don't have to commute. You don't have to think about, I have to get home because it's dark or there's going to be traffic on 95 or whatever it may be. You're literally just rolling over, going to your residence hall. And if you live on our quad, which is Glaze, Indian River Towers, Heritage Park Towers, you're right on the main square of the housing line where everything happens.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine. So sign up for housing. Again, everyone make sure you get your housing contracts in because May 1st is the deadline to go ahead and submit that. Please keep the questions rolling in. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. And so right now, I do want to shift gears a little bit. Joe, to you in advising, I know Dr. Fairman spoke about this just a bit, but can you talk about what summer and fall are going to look like? Are summer classes going to be online, fully remote? How's that working for our incoming students?
Sure. So let me preface this conversation in that this is what we're planning for as of right now. Things, as you all know, continually change. So the summer courses, the Jumpstart courses, if you will be offered both in person and virtually. We wanted to make sure during this transition time back to a more normal experience that we were really serving both sets of students, those that can't or do not want to come to campus and those who do. So most of those courses will actually have options to do both, either come in person and engage in the classroom experience or to do this virtually. So I think that's the most important thing, is the choice will be there. Right now, we are planning in the fall for a full in-person campus experience across the board as it was in 2019. And again, you know, things can change, but that is the plan, which means that the offices will be engaged in open activities. Actually, I think on yesterday I signed up to get my my football tickets for the season, so we're very excited about that. And our classrooms and our faculty will be fully engaged in person, and so that's the direction we're planning for at this point.
Thank you so much, Joe. Melanie, so going over to you, I know I lost of career questions in the chat. Our students are ready to work. So what should I do if I don't know what career I want? Can you talk a little bit about what we have in career services for maybe our undecided students?
That is a great question, and one that happens more often than not, actually. It's not uncommon, and it's definitely nothing to be worried about if you are undecided. Actually, most students that we meet with tend to still be deciding, as we like to call it, or students who may have an idea of what they want to major in, either end up changing their major or they learn about something they didn't know that existed. So that is very normal if you're still in that deciding phase. And our office actually works very closely with Joe's office to work with those students that are still deciding. We have what's called a success network, where these students are actually paired both with an academic advisor as well as a career coach to work with them to both be able to look at their classes as as well as different majors and career pathways that can work with them to help them make that decision. But one of the things that we do offer for our students that are still deciding is what is called a career and life planning course that they can enroll in either their first or second semester. It's a 1-credit elective class that they can take that is taught completely by career counselors. I'm one of the instructors as well as some of my colleagues. And in this course, it's based on career theory where they do different assignments. It's all about career and self-exploration. So they go over, our students go over things to really focus on what are they interested in, what's important to them, and then those skills, what are they really good at? What are things that are important to them? And they start to do some research on different occupations to really get that full connection and to figure out what is it that's going to make the best sense for them. And then we show them and teach them how to do occupational research. So our hope is that a student will never have to use Google to be able to say, what is it that I want to do? Or use Google to look up careers. Our office is the office that's curating and really going through this information so we can give our students the best information to help them make the decisions that's going to help them figure out what is it that I want to do after FAU. In terms of their career goals. So we work with them in those things. So we have different tools and resources we use. We have a class for them. We have the career counselors that we work with them on, that they can be paired with and create those plans. And we also, of course, want them to have those different experiences that we talked about. You know, they can read about things, they can research things, but until they actually start trying things out, and I think some of our families on the call may know that as well. If you remember when you were in college, you may have an idea that you may want to do something, but then once you actually try it out, it may look a lot different. A personal story, I thought I wanted to be a nurse. I volunteered at a hospital, things quickly changed. So we really encourage our students to be able to have some of those experiential learning opportunities. So we work with them to try those things out. So we have a variety of different things that we work with, but if you are a student that's still deciding or still unsure, again, it's completely normal, but we will work hand in hand with your academic advisor in Joe's office to make sure that we're, making, good choices with the classes you're taking as well as with your career plan. So that way you're not going to, taking too many classes in the exploratory field. So we do work with your academic advisor, and we work with the office really well with our Success Network to make sure that you are in a plan in an area. So we do work with that. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Melanie. That's definitely some really good information. So going along kind of those same lines, I'm going to kick it to you again, Joe. What if I applied, let's say, as an English major, and then I decided that I actually wanted to change to business? Is there a way to indicate my new intended major through online advising?
Yes, in fact, that's exactly where we'd want to do it because we want to advise students for what they want to go into, not what they're switching out of. Clearly, we don't want to put them in courses that they're not going to be doing that any longer. So one of the very first screens in the easy advising process will be we actually list what their major is in our system according to what they put on their admissions record. And then we ask, do you want to change this? And if the answer is yes, they get a pull-down menu. Then they can choose from all the majors they have listed there. I guess, comment of note here, there are a few majors at FAU that are restricted, which means that they are not open to change. So nursing is a good example that students have to be admitted directly into nursing. And if that doesn't happen, they cannot switch into that. So there are a few majors on that list that is not an option. But in your example, business, anything in arts and letters, education, all of those are wide open. Engineering is going to be looking at math. So that's the critical one for that. And science is also going to be looking at your math scores, which actually, by the way, Summer, if there isn't a question on there, I'll address the math. So we do not require a math placement test, but we do figure where your placement is based on actually 4 different factors. And then actually our math department has developed a very complicated program that figures out where students should start in their math. So what will happen is we look at their SAT or ACT composite scores, math specific scores, and then their high school GPA and their high school math GPAs. All those things are combined, and then we figure out based on their major which math courses they should start with. So it also, again, takes this process, makes it very easy because students don't have to come in or do an online math placement exam. It just tells us where they should start as we move forward with that.
Great. And I just saw a question come in. Is there a limit to how many times a student can change his or her major?
All right, so I'm going to ask a question back of our audience here. Type in the chat what folks think is the national average of how many times students will change their major. So while they're doing that, let me talk a little bit about that for a second. So this is actually going in and filling out the paperwork. This does not include, the morning you wake up and you're hitting your head against the bedpost thinking, what in the world am I doing in here? This is not what I want to be. So read out some of the guesses. What kind of numbers are we getting in there that people think as the average changes?
Let's see if it's coming in. What are we getting? 20%. I got a 50%. Tell us, Joe.
All right, so, and actually this is, I think, data that also comes out of Melanie's office as well. So the average student, every student will average 5 change of majors in their academic career. 5 change of majors. So what that means is what we want you to be thinking about is exploring. Just because you have something in mind coming through the door does not mean you're going to stick with it. And if you don't, that is absolutely fine, because actually most people do not have a major in mind. And actually, I'll ask one more question here as we're getting close to time, and we'll let it hang out there. Type in what you think my undergraduate degree was in. So as we're asking the last questions here, we'll give folks a chance to do that. I've asked this question now for 30 years in all my higher ed experience, and I will tell you that nobody has gotten it right at any orientation that I have done. So we'll give our audience a chance to see if they can come up with something a little bit closer, and then we'll go from that. If you can't get into the chat, then I'll give you the answer here at the end. So don't let me forget.
All right, we're gonna keep going as we get those questions in the chat. But I've got another one that just came in that says, "Are we allowed to have cars on campus?" So, Kat, I'm gonna kick that over to you.
Yes, you are allowed to have a car on campus. The first step is going to be once you completed your whole OwlDone portal and you selected your room, your actual move-in appointment, you'll be able to go into the parking and transportation website, and everything is done virtually. You put your license plate number in, and that will allow you to be registered. You can also do it on my FAU as well. So it's a quite easy process. There's no like little placard or anything that goes on your card. You just completely place that information in their portal, and then you've completely registered your vehicle. And they give us a grace period of the first week or so of school starting to get your parking pass placed in your car and placed on your account.
Perfect. 1.8 miles away from the beach. Just hop in the car with your friends and let's go, right? So, Joe, hold on to your answer. I'm seeing guesses are engineering, accounting, music, pre-law, theater. You've got an education, okay, architecture. So there's some good ones coming in. Oh, you got your pilot license too. But save it for the end. Heading over to you, because we know you were a student at FAU thrice now, and you work with a lot of FAU student leaders and orientation leaders. So what kind of advice would you give to incoming freshmen?
Sure thing. So I would say 2 big pieces of advice. The first one is maximize your experience at FAU. The second one is need help, just ask, right? So let me take one quick minute to explain what I mean. So maximize your experience at FAU. You've heard my colleagues here today, Melanie with the Career Center, Joe with advising, Kat with how you can live on campus and take advantage of all of the experiences here. And that's just scratching the surface of what FAU has to offer you to maximize the time that you're in college. I mean, this is a unique, once in a lifetime experience for you to invest in yourself and the community around you to become all that you've dreamed of, right? And that's one of the things that I love about FAU. It's going to create a space for you here, and you can tap into the things you're curious about. Like Joe said, take the time to explore. You can deepen your understanding of things you already know you love with the interests that Melanie was talking about. There's just so many ways to create and customize your own experience. We have mentors that can help you learn how to do that from the very beginning of your time at FAU. We offer you the chance to apply for a mentor. That could be another undergraduate student, like one of our amazing orientation leaders that you'll meet at your orientation day. It can be a grad student. It can be a faculty staff member. So many people are invested in your success here. So maximize your experience, try new things. And when you need help, just ask for it. One of my mentors says to me, and says it to other students too, it's not going to say anywhere on your degree, anywhere on your resume, how many times you've asked for help. It's just not. So that's your open door to take advantage of the community here that really is invested in your success. We take that really seriously to the point where we actually wear lanyards around our neck that you'll see us rocking out with during classes once we all get back to campus, that actually say, as a reminder to you, need help, just ask. So much to do here, so much to take advantage of while you're an FAU OWL. And I really do hope that you do that with us at Florida Atlantic.
Perfect. I know we're getting ready to wrap up here and head to some of our college sessions next. So remember, students, today we've spoken about the OwlDone portal, owldone.fau.edu. We've talked a little bit about advising. We've talked about doing your housing. We've talked about SOAR, right? Your student orientation. Please remember, the first step in getting all of these things done is submitting your tuition deposit. So going off of that, Dr. Burke, again for you, can you tell us what exactly does it mean to be OwlDone?
Sure thing. That means you are ready and registered to start classes at FAU. Being OwlDone is that accomplishment that kicks off your FAU journey strong. It means, like Joe's been saying, you get registered for classes, which you can already do starting in just a couple days from now if you've submitted your easy advising. It means you're getting your books lined up for classes. It means you're checking your FAU email often and being sure to check off all the things in that portal. The portal is, again, another example, the OwlDone portal, of a customized list for you to make sure that you're taking care of all of the things that you need to do to start FAU strong, which is exactly what being OwlDone means.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so thank you so much to all of our panelists and our students on here who came with some very great questions, always very informative and helpful. We want to make sure that you all get OwlDone today. So if you haven't already, again, make sure you log on to owldone.fau.edu and submit your tuition deposit ASAP. And that can be done today, okay? So next on your agenda is going to be the academic college presentations. Those presentations will be right after this panel. So if you're not sure where to go, as a reminder, all you need to do is click on the word agenda on the navigational panel. It's going to be right there to the left. And go ahead and select the academic session you'd like to attend. Sorry. So thank you once again so much for joining us today. We hope you all enjoy the academic sessions, and we really look forward to seeing you all on campus. Go Owls!